All right. Good morning. Welcome to Jen's awesome show. I'm here with Blockchain Wayne. It is good to meet you. So tell me, where did you get the name Blockchain Wayne?
Hey, Jen. Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having me on here. Not many people ask me that. It's a great question. It has, it rhymes, so I thought it would sound good. So back in 2017, 2018, I trying to identify my place in the space, and I was really, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, so it's not like I was going to be building projects, but there's a need for education in the space because it was hard for people to figure out. My journey in 2016, 2017 of trying to understand the space, there was a big learning curve. I'm sure you've experienced. Everybody that's been involved or trying to get involved understands that. So I decided, you know what, at minimum we need like a basic getting started guide at the time. So in early 2018, I launched a book called From No Crypto to No Crypto, but it's from NO to KNOW. And one of the things, it was like a little 40-page book on Amazon that I put out, and I wanted to promote it. And I enjoyed doing content like this. So I started podcasting. And that's really where I came up with. I was like, let me just start podcasting under that name. And it just kind of stuck because then that's how more and more people started to know me. And now it's kind of it's stuck with me, but it initially started out. I like the ring to it when how it sounds. So that's how it
Yeah,
started.
neat. Well, that's fun. Yeah. So you've been in this a little bit longer than I have. How did you get into crypto and kind of when?
So yeah, it was 2016. The typical story I hear from a lot of people, like I'd heard about it prior and just kind of ignored it, dismissed it, didn't think there was much to it, thought it was a fad. And then in 2016, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was talking about a stock investment where I had lost quite a bit of money. I'm talking, it was initial value was around 20 grand, and there was about 3,000 left in the value. So the stock had completely tanked. And I said, you know what? I'm at a point where I said I need to put this in something that's maybe a little risky, but has a good potential to go up drastically. And because if I lose the additional 3,000 at that point, what's the difference, right? But if
Yeah.
I have a chance to earn back some capital from what I lost, it'd be good. And his comment to me was, "Wayne, you need to quit ignoring Bitcoin. It's time to jump in." And so looked into it a little bit more, kind of did a little bit more digging into the surface. I was like, okay, let's do this. So that's when I got in. Was I purchased my first 3 Bitcoin with that $3,000, and at that point, I'm the type of person, if I'm gonna hold something, invest in something, it can't just be off of somebody's suggestion. I've got to know more about it. So I really went down that rabbit hole of crypto and starting to learn how the hardest thing for me was to grasp was how does this even have value. And then I realized
Mhm.
most of us don't really even understand money because we're not taught of how money truly works. We know how to earn it, we know how to spend it, but we don't truly know how money truly works and how value works. And so I studied the history of money and realized that this is the next evolution of where money is going.
That's yeah, that and you made a really good point. When people are talking about crypto, the first question I hear two questions. The first one is whether or not it's a scam, and that's always, something to deal with. The second one is, well, how does it have value? And we always go back to, well, how does your money have value? The money that's in your pocket. Where'd that value come from? And
Yeah.
people start to think about it and you can see the light bulbs going off, and
Yeah.
it's a good one. So you did mention that crypto is the way of the future. I don't disagree with you, but explain your views a little bit there. So why is it the way of the future, and how is it better or more effective than what we currently have?
Oh, that's a great question. And I always start when I teach people about crypto, that I would work, because in the beginning I was working with a lot of people one on one. That's kind of shifted to where now I work with projects to help bring educational content out to the masses. But in that one on one work, I always start with the history of money, understanding what that system is. And let's just talk about our current system because it's easier to explain today in 2022 than it was in 2017, 2018, because most people were oblivious to the fact of rampant printing of money, inflation, and what happens from that whole system of the Federal Reserve and banking. And I always show it as a two-part system that's causing a problem that's basically corrupting the current money supply, and that's the Federal Reserve being able to print on demand and creating new funds whenever, And, we saw it happen in 2020, 2021, when all that new money was just created, and the people got what, just a little fraction of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it exposes people to what's happening there. And then you understand economics when you dilute, consider to continue to dilute a money supply. The purchasing power goes down because we're not in a bubble. If we were just in the US and only doing business with each other, just printing on money would be, hey, we can just spend it. But we're in a global market where there's exchanges, and we're dealing with other countries, and so, as we can lose purchasing power with that. So with the Federal Reserve doing that, and then on top of that, I teach people the basically how fractional reserve banking works. And when I started teaching it, the reserve requirement was 10%. Banks only required to hold 10% of your funds that you deposit, and then they can lend that out on the market. To where now it's even worse because not too long ago they lowered that requirement to zero. Banks don't have to hold any of your money, and that happened during the pandemic. I think it was in 20. It was either in late 2020 or early 2021, they lowered that reserve to zero, which, not saying the banks don't have any reserves, but they're not required to keep any reserves of your money. So I teach that system because when you think about how that plays out, just in a scenario 3 levels deep, where someone takes $1,000 deposited into a bank, they have that $1,000 on the ledger saying that they're owed, that they have $1,000, but then the bank loans out 90% of that. So $900 is lent out to somebody else. That person can take that money, deposit that into another bank, and then that bank then can show a $900 balance, but then loan out 90% of that into the market, trade it on the market, whatever. And you see, if you keep going down that rabbit hole where that could end, it's a ledger showing all this money is in the market when it really just was $1,000. And so those create problems with our system. And I realized what cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in general, Bitcoin was my rabbit hole. And I still tell people this day, cryptocurrency is great, but I really feel there's going to be a handful of cryptocurrencies that truly gain mass adoption, revolutionize the world. Bitcoin's going to have its place as well. But we're in a world where anybody can create a crypto. So there's going to be thousands and thousands of them. Many of them may have not much value or not much use case, but the ones that truly continue to push forward with adoption and really get utilized to where we create, where it gets fully utilized within an economy. You hear many people refer to as tokenomics, where there's a constant circle of supply and demand with that crypto. It gives people the freedom to transact, to interact. I've heard stories, talk to people. One guy I met and this is a funny story to think of where he is now. So it was a Bitcoin meetup in New Orleans, and then I went to their shop. They were mining Bitcoin in the back of a CrossFit gym, and they had ASICs set up, a rack from floor to ceiling, just mining. I mean, it was almost 200 ASICs that were in the back of that. And they were talking, and he was telling me how by trade, he was a landscaper and owned some landscaping stores. And he had made a change to one of his stores, and that store wasn't even financed by the bank, but the bank didn't like what he did, and they froze his funds. And shortly after that, he found out about Bitcoin, and he said he decided that day when he learned about Bitcoin that he was never going to let anybody else control his money, and he was going to have 100% control. And they went on to grow that mining facility to where they eventually moved to Rockdale, Texas, the big Whinstone U.S. mining facility in Rockdale, Texas. That's them. And I hear stories about that all the time. People in different countries, whether it's they're sending money back home and just the exchange rate on those currencies are hyperinflated, or the mediums of transfer like Western Union or MoneyGram will take a big chunk from some of the poorest people in the world. So all of those stories, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in general, and select other cryptocurrencies solve those problems that give the freedom back to people, which that's really what it's all about. The freedom to be able to interact and transact with anybody. And then I just saw so many implications to where what was created from Bitcoin, because it's not like you said, okay, we're going to create blockchain. Blockchain was a term that came about as Bitcoin continued to grow and catch more steam. You realize there's so many industries where centralized control and corruption can be wiped out with transparency, open blockchain. So it's just a long rabbit hole I went down. I'm like, okay, and we've also seen technology adoption in the past where no matter how much resistance or friction there is along the way, better technology always eventually wins out. When you think about the internet came out and then phone companies were looking to restrict the use of the internet because the internet initially came in over the phone lines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to see now, years later, that technology is completely inverted to where now phone line, phone calls are made over the internet, and those phone
Yeah.
lines don't even need to exist anymore. So better technology is always going to win out, and this is what I feel we have here. And there's so many things that can be created. This just when you look at metaverse worlds and how that can allow more people to create thriving businesses that normally wouldn't have access to a market. I saw it. I saw personally, not necessarily metaverse related, but just online in general. My wife has a business that if we were to open a store in our hometown, it wouldn't do that great. But the
Mm-hmm.
power of being able to reach more people allows her to have a thriving business. And it's the same thing when you look at what's the potential with metaverse. Artists and entrepreneurs have the potential to reach people they normally wouldn't reach and get their products and services in front of more people. So it creates more open, free markets to where people can truly go after that dream of freedom, being able to create something, and without having systems of control, systems that want to that try to regulate and control. Because we've all seen what's happened with regulations in the past, not just in the U.S. but other countries. Regulations typically will pass with the intent or the idea to the public that they're to protect people, and it
Mm-hmm.
typically sets up situations that favor only certain people, which is usually the wealthy connected. And what I love about what crypto and blockchain gives us is it levels the playing field. Anybody and everybody can participate.
I absolutely love that too. And now I'm drawing a blank. There were a couple things there you said that really resonated as well. One of them would be sending money from one place to the other. If in the past I've had friends who make art and other wonderful things in the United States, I'm in Canada, and I haven't been able to pay them because there's no the best I could do was either send something Western Union or do an actual bank wire transfer, which is a little ridiculous to have to go down to the bank and do that.
Yeah,
Um, Crypto solves that. It doesn't solve the enormous shipping costs, but it solves the actual money going from one place to the other.
yeah, it's
And
borderless.
it's absolutely baffling to me that I I can have a connection with, say, an artist or somebody who built a thing that I actually need in my life that I can't find anywhere else, but I can't pay them. That's ridiculous. Without
Yeah,
having to go through some credit card company or go to actually go down to the bank.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's very useful.
yeah. And all of those industries, like credit card companies and banks, and I mean, they're basically designed as I've heard the term in the past. I didn't come up with this, but vampire industries. They literally
Hmm.
just for like acting as a middleman, they just suck out fees. Suck out
Oh yeah.
fees, and until people like either accept credit card payments as a business, most people don't realize that there's a fee for all of those. They think, oh, I can just walk in the store and swipe my card. They don't realize that the consumer is paying that amount. It's worked into the price of the item.
Yep.
So
It
there's
sure is.
there's always transaction fees. And I tell people the biggest shift in technology is just think about the terms that are used whenever you make a credit card payment. What happens when you swipe that credit card? What does it say on the card reader when it goes through? It says approved. It
Hmm.
has to be approved by the bank. It could be blocked, it could be stopped. And some of those things were put into place supposedly to stop crime, but I mean, I know so many people that have been in situations where their funds were frozen for no good reason.
Hmm.
Just the bank, I purchased some crypto with my bank and now they freeze my funds.
Yeah.
Versus when you make a transaction, um, when you make a transaction in crypto, it's not approved, it's confirmed. So you
Yes.
don't need approval. You don't need
No.
approval to transact with crypto.
I used to have to call the bank before I left the country or before I made a weird internet purchase because they'd say, "Oh, you don't normally
Like,
do that. We froze your stuff." Like, no, that's not helpful, guys. And like even cross-border shopping, I'm down in New York. I want to pay for something. I actually don't use my credit card, and for the vast majority of the places I've ever traveled in my whole life, I have never used a credit card because they charge exchange fees that compound daily.
Yeah.
No, there's no earthly way I'm doing that. It's ridiculous. And so
Yeah.
then to have, people say, "Oh, well, you don't need to bring cash. You can just use your bank card." Well, actually, I can't, until recently I couldn't use my debit card in the US because the banking systems didn't agree. I could most other places, but not there. And so
Yeah.
it's just it hoping that one day the mass adoption will get further along. And I am seeing places more and more that accept Bitcoin and have the signs in their windows, and it's refreshing.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried using it to pay for things in stores yet, but I'm looking forward to the day where that's more normal.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin in general, with the rise of the Lightning Network being a good layer solution, we're going to start seeing that more and more. I know some people that are working with Lightning Network, and there's other cryptocurrencies that as well. And then there's solutions. Uh, Not always a big fan of stable coins, but I think they're going to help drive adoption because some merchants that are hesitant to accept right now, while there's a lot of volatility in markets, would be willing to accept, at least one that's not going to lose their value. I've also seen some protocols to where maybe they accept Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then they have the retailer has the option, the merchant, they set it on their back end whether they want to keep it like that or instantly convert it to a stable coin, or transit, convert it back to dollars.
Mhm. I like that. That to me, that just seems like the right solution. But what other things would hinder mass adoption right now? What do you see as
So that
barriers?
Yeah, so that's so I saw two problems when I first really started evaluating the market from a standpoint of how do we move this towards adoption. And the two things that I came across were education and easier user interfaces.
Hmm.
And I've heard, this is not my story, but I've heard this story told by talks multiple times from Andreas Antonopoulos about comparing it to the adoption of the internet and, say, email in general. Email, when it first came out, was extremely difficult to use. It took a while to go through. You had to know a little bit about computer programming almost to send it in the early 90s. Email was not a simple, seamless like you think now. But then what happened was, as technology improved and advanced, the the background layer that was real clunky, it's still kind of existed. It may have evolved a little bit, but it's the interfaces that were built on top of it that made it super simple to where now anybody, even somebody that calls themselves technologically challenged, they can send an email with the swipe of their finger on an iPhone or iPad and not really realize what's happening in the background or even care. And that's where we've got to get with crypto, to where people are using it and it's so easy and seamless. Um, they don't realize that they're even using that technology, that it's as complicated, just like operating a car. I don't need to understand how a combustion engine works. I just need to know how to operate it, how to drive it. And
Exactly.
yeah, and so that's really where my focus shifted, to where I continue to focus on education, but I would partner up with marketing departments of different projects that I like, that I felt were helping to move the space forward, and help them with content, help them with educational materials, because that's part of it too. All of these projects, whether it's a metaverse project or a payments project or a DeFi project, if they want to onboard more users, there's only so many people that are already in crypto. At some point, they have to teach people the basics of cryptocurrency, the basics of what is a wallet, what is cryptocurrency, why, even the history of money. So I think to move forward, a lot of projects need to also focus on um, educating users, because that's where there's really an abandonment rate, to where if they don't really understand crypto, and they even if they take a look at the platform or project, whatever they're wanting them to use, they don't understand the basics, they're either going to go away, or they're going to go to YouTube. They're going to do a search in YouTube to find out about something. They're going to find a scam video instead and potentially get scammed. Versus, a lot of these projects need to have, even if it's white label content that they verify and purchase, that's housed within their website. Because the last thing a project wants to do is send someone to another website to do some research before they come back. So that's education's a big piece, and those usability layers, like I mentioned. That's kind of how about a year ago I started working with FIO on a part-time basis. Just recently went full-time with them, is because they're strictly a usability layer that makes using all cryptocurrencies easier, to where you can replace all your different cryptocurrency wallet addresses with one single, what we call a crypto handle, that's a human readable address in the format of username at domain. So you can create your own custom domain and create your own username, similar to it makes sending crypto as easy as sending an email, to where that's where people have that's where there's a lot of friction, and it's really about reducing friction. Where are the friction points? And if somebody's a new user and they come in and they try to send crypto, and we've all sent, if you sent crypto before, Jen, I mean, it's kind of stressful until you see the funds confirmed on chain that it went through.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, holy crap, did it go through? Especially, when you're depositing to an exchange or withdrawing from an exchange.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
And anything cross chain is just
yeah.
paralyzingly terrifying.
Yeah.
At
So
best
the
of
FIO
times.
protocol stops you from, like, if I type in a crypto handle and it's wrong, it won't
Mhm.
let me send it. If I type it in right and I'm trying to send Ethereum, and that crypto handle doesn't have an Ethereum address mapped to it yet, it'll stop me. So it stops you from sending it wrong chain, wrong address. And that's what we need across the space, is interfaces that make it easy and seamless. And you make it to where people are used to using it. Like, people are used to sending email. So
Mhm.
sending crypto to a handle that's similar to an email is familiar and easier, reduces friction. We've got part of the FIO protocol allows you to send a request as well for crypto. So if, say, you wanted me to pay you some Bitcoin, you can send me a request if you're using a FIO enabled wallet that allows you to request it, similar to PayPal and Venmo when you request funds from someone.
Yeah.
And then all the other person has to do is open up that wallet and approve the request. So those are features that make it easier. And so when I see projects focus on education or focus on building usability layers, that's where we need to go, because we need tools to make this easier for your everyday person to get in.
Yes.
We got in, even you, like you said, you got in later than me. You're still early. This is still very early on in adoption phase. You think about, paper money took about 400 years to be fully adopted and accepted. And
Mhm.
then technology accelerates that. So credit card payments, that took about 50 years to truly get accepted and adopted. And I say accepted and adopted means like fully, where your masses are doing it. Because when it first came out, most people thought it was crazy. Oh, who's going to do that? Who's going to accept that? Nobody's even set up to accept it. And then over the time, adoption happens. So even if you accelerate that with cryptocurrency, I still think it's at least a 20-year window of from the time Bitcoin was created to we see like mass scale full adoption. So in these windows, these next 5 to 10 years is going to be a lot of development, and the projects they're going to win are really going to be the ones that make it easier for people to utilize crypto, easier for people to interact with blockchains and digital currencies, and in some cases not even realize they're doing it. When someone can go play a game and earn like a play to earn game and earn crypto, and they're playing because they enjoy the game, and they don't even understand how cryptocurrency and blockchain works, that's a step towards adoption. Versus
Yes.
the early phase games right now, you have people playing these games and they're only playing them because they're earning crypto. The games may not even be that fun yet. So that's kind of the path I see to adoption. I know it was a really long answer, but
No,
that's kind of
that's
my vision of where we got to go.
that's a great answer. So if I go through FIO and get myself a FIO wallet, is it set up to handle multi-sig on different chains?
So what FIO does is it's short answer is we don't have our own wallet.
Mm-hmm.
We our goal, we're a protocol that integrates with wallets and exchanges.
Okay.
So it really depends on what the wallet allows you to do. So the FIO is its own separate blockchain. So we're like a layer one blockchain, but we almost operate as a layer two solution in
Got it.
terms of similar to, think about the DNS system for websites. So
Mm-hmm.
when you type in a website address, you type in that readable address like StreamYard.com, right?
Yep.
In the background, it's going to an IP address. We don't see
Yep.
that IP address. We don't care what that IP address is. We just are going to the website. So what FIO protocol is, it's similar to that. It's a mapping layer on our chain that maps those public wallet addresses, those long ones, they still
Yep.
exist and they're still in the background. Just our layer, if you're using FIO enabled wallets, it allows you to easily send and receive by just typing that in. And then it pings the chain and sees, okay, I'm trying to send Bitcoin. There's a valid map Bitcoin address, so it'll allow it to send. So it's that layer that people don't see. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we could be integrated into multi-sig wallets. We currently have 50 plus wallets and exchanges that have been integrating our protocol with many more in talks. Um, the best wallet I don't want to say, I don't want to dismiss any of our integration partners, but let's just say the fullest integration of our total protocol right now is in the Edge wallet. So within the Edge wallet, people have the ability to register FIO domains, register FIO crypto handles, stake tokens. We're a proof of stake chain, so people can stake tokens and participate in governance. And what's cool about that, it's similar to some other projects I love, where you can earn those staking rewards without having to send the cryptocurrency out of your wallet, because it's a true proof of stake. Especially what we've seen lately with Celsius and Voyager and all these platforms that offer yields if you deposit your crypto. You're not truly staking, you're lending it to somebody else and they're lending it out on the market, which creates that risk. Whereas like a
Hmm.
proof of stake chain allows you to stake within your own wallet and participate in governance, like FIO does. Another project I've been a fan of since they launched was Tezos as well, does the same thing. I can stake. I know Tezos calls it baking, but it's technically staking. I can stake my Tezos tokens from my Ledger wallet in cold storage. Um, so that wallet allows you to do the most. But if you check out our website, fioprotocol.io, we have a list of our current existing partners and integrating partners, wallets and exchanges that use us. And so our goal, when you see us at events, we're typically hitting projects and even trying to get the team. We're thinking outside of the box. Okay, wallets and exchanges integrate us, but those crypto handles can signify community as well. So even in something like I talked to Corey about with Uplift World was, hey, even if the domain is at Uplift and people want to have their usernames tied to that, they could make their own username at Uplift and link their wallets to it. And on our dashboard, even if you're using a wallet that's not FIO enabled, you can go to our FIO dashboard and map wallet addresses to that crypto handle, to where if somebody wants to send you crypto and they're using a FIO enabled wallet, they can send it to that crypto handle even though it's not enabled on your particular wallet. So if I'm using MetaMask, which hasn't integrated our FIO protocol yet, and I always use the word yet because I feel it's going to be a standard, someone can map that address to where people can send to it easily. Think about online gamers with Twitch that are paying Twitch a platform fee like 30 to 40% when people tip them. And imagine someone does their own stream where they own their own content. They can put up a crypto handle, and it doesn't matter what someone's sending and whether they're sending them Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Matic, or whatever. They can just type that in. And I can, I'll stop there. I can talk about this for a while, but it's because I'm passionate about it. And any projects that I've helped in the past, it's not just, okay, you've got a token or you got a DeFi protocol. That doesn't mean anything to me. What are you doing to move the space forward to make it easier for more users, or projects maybe that aren't necessarily a user interface coming, but they're helping with education to move the space forward.
I absolutely love that, and I'm definitely going to be taking a look, because that's one of the things that I noticed with getting new people in. We've got the ETH World set up, but we don't have the like our actual ETH launch is Saturday, so we don't have the ETH NFTs yet. We're still doing everything off Wax, and the most common thing I'm running into are people who are very familiar with Ethereum, and I say Wax and start walking them through it, and it's either light bulbs go off or it's like talking to a brick wall. There's not a lot of in between. It either works or it doesn't. So having any kind of a bridge layer to make that easier would be amazing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's funny you say that because I experienced the same thing because I'm passionate about NFTs as well. And a year ago, I always use this story. It was a little over a year ago. I was teaching an artist about NFTs, and I recommended, based on the type of NFTs he wanted to create. Well, he was a photographer mainly, so it was photographs that he wanted to sell multiples of. He was talking about selling them for a dollar of value of maybe 20 to $50 at most. And he was wanting to do it on ETH. And at the time, I was like, man, you should really use Wax.
mhm.
Wax is a much better fees. and I showed him, some of the platforms, the marketplaces and stuff you could create those NFTs on Wax, and he took everything I said and he told me the next day. He says, I thought about what you said, but I think everybody understands ETH, so I went ahead and did ETH. And he was trying to sell these $25 NFTs, and the gas fees were higher than the
Yeah.
NFT itself. So yeah, having those solutions will make it easier, because it's not having to understand how this one works or that one works. It's just and FIO actually stands for Foundation for Inter Wallet Operability. So our goal is to make all wallets interoperable, to where sending and receiving makes it as simple as just typing in that address. But yeah, so the ETH launch you said is coming up this week, right?
Yeah, that's happening on
Wow.
Saturday. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet either. We have some land for you.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
I
saw
should,
the picture.
yeah, I should get that up here. I didn't pull coordinates or anything. I'll take a quick look here, but it's Saturday. We're selling stuff on ETH, and it's going to be a giant thing. I think it's hard to predict
Yeah.
with the market being what it is, but I'm excited.
Oh yeah. Either way, it's going to be a catalyst. I think that's pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out, and excited to see the land. I pinged the team already to see. I know you'd asked me a question if we were going to build our own or hire builders, and I want to see who on our team has the capability. I know some of them that may want to participate in that, and it's cool to see what's going to be built. On that, not just our land, but everybody's land, because that's where you really start to see people's creativity comes out. And
Absolutely.
one thing as well, that those crypto handles that I mentioned for FIO, another part of our protocol that we've rolled out is going to help down the road. So imagine having these NFTs that down the road you're not buying them from the brand or the company or the project or the artist. You're buying it on a secondary market. You can map signatures using that FIO crypto handle that we talked about.
Yeah.
Imagine making that public. So say Uplift, say for Uplift, they create a crypto handle called minting at Uplift, and they map the address that creates the NFTs. And then down the road, somebody's going to buy that NFT on the secondary market. They can ping the NFT signature on the FIO chain. Doesn't matter what chain the NFT is created on, to verify that that's the NFT, that's the FIO signature that created that NFT, and someone didn't just copy the metadata and mint it on another platform and trying to sell it as a fake.
That's something that I also feel rather passionate about. So I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, when we were in New York, I had a talk with the team at Wax, and they were actually looking for a solution like that. Just because, I mean, marketplaces and NFT platforms, they see that. I mean, OpenSea puts out some data publicly about how many NFTs are created fraudulently. Like someone would just take a picture, image, or something else and mint it and try to pass it off as an original.
Mm-hmm.
And so until it gets caught, someone has a chance of getting in trouble. One thing I fell in love with, so 2018, I found out about NFTs. I was standing in line at an event in 2018 with Ken Bozak. Ken standing next to me talking to me about NFTs in 2018. And I'm like, okay, so what's the deal with this? And he starts telling me about it. And I collected baseball cards and basketball and football cards as a kid. So when I saw that potential, being able to add that true ownership, that of collectibles or art or whatever you wanted to add to it, and having that ability to verify it's authentic as well, I knew that was going to be a big solution, because even physical items can be linked to NFTs to verify authenticity. So that's a big piece I saw with NFTs early on, is it's going to help verify authenticity of not just digital products, but also physical products as well.
It is, and I find that to be mind-boggling why it hasn't seen widespread adoption for that purpose.
Yeah.
I realize there might be still a couple of technological barriers and stuff, but I'm optimistic that we'll see that soon rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's take a quick look here. So this is where you're
Yes.
going to be. We've got a nice spot here. Looks like you're in the middle of the mushroom forest, which is rather vast. And yeah, there's a river over here. And yeah, so this is the spot. And yeah,
Have our
and
that's our unofficial slogan right there. We put that on gear whenever we go to events and stuff. It's just,
it's
you know,
awesome.
if you've ever, the first thing that comes out of most people's mouths when they realize they sent crypto to the wrong address or messed up and sent on the wrong
Uh-huh.
chain is the F word. So why
Yeah,
not make this our motto? We're going to help people do that.
sure is. Yeah, no, I love that. And we've got a QR code here too that goes to your website, so
Right.
that's scannable. And yeah, and it looks like you've got some pretty good neighbors here too. I can see, I think this one's Cash to Crypto over here. Yep.
Oh, nice.
And we have, what else do we have here? Surprises. Oh, DeFi Lunch. Very good ones to be neighbors with. And over here by the lake, I haven't looked at this one yet. It's, oh, WellNet. I've heard of them, but I don't know much
Okay.
about them yet. So that's going to be interesting. And yeah, so this is definitely a good neighborhood to be in. Um, Question then for you. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that you could use the FIO protocol and the specifically the wallet naming to help with creating and promoting community to a certain extent. Um, how does that create value for a community?
Well, when you think about like gamers do it already with gamer tags, gaming guilds. So, say you're a member of a community or a member of users, you can create your own crypto handle, and if that community utilizes crypto payments for either to pay each other or to tip or whatever, you can just make that process a lot easier as people on board. And it's this same concept of grabbing your username on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and also even your email address. Right? There's only, you see it now. Somebody wants an email address, and the one they want's already taken, so they have to add like 6 numbers after it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like an online identity. We have identities for platforms, but a lot of these platforms are going to integrate payments in one way or another, whether it's through commerce, um, tipping, whatever. So having crypto handles that allow you to signify your brand and your unique identity is it's just another step forward in that. If I tell you my email address is blockchain Wayne at whatever, then if we're talking about payments, then why wouldn't it be blockchain Wayne at whatever whatever I want it to be for that particular wallet? That way, you want to send me an email, send it to that email address. You want to send me crypto, send it to the crypto handle.
I really like that. I think that's one of those things where I would have expected it to be done sooner.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Um, Thank you for that.
Nice. Yeah,
So,
FIO's been around for a few years. It's just it's a process to get it out there. We're structured as a nonprofit foundation. We actually do have grants available. So wallets, exchanges, or even communities that want to integrate, we have things we can do. Those crypto handles and domains on chain, they typically cost money, but when we work with projects, we do offer a certain amount of free crypto handles, and we've whatever it takes to move it forward. We're looking to integrate with people, whether it's exchanges and wallets are looking to make their customer service department less headaches because they don't, I'm sure they get that, which I hear it all the time. They get a lot of support tickets. People send crypto to the wrong address, and
mhm,
9 times out of 10 they can't really help them unless they accidentally, sent it to a compatible address where the exchange owns both addresses.
yep,
Um, Outside of that, and communities, we're just looking to continue to make it easier. So if you have crypto payments at some point within your platform, or like I said, tipping or anything like that, e-commerce, then most people are going to want an easier way to be able to accept crypto. So using that will make it easier. So anybody that wants to talk about an integration collaboration, that's what we want to work with. And it's also why we never really released our own crypto wallet, because we're not trying to compete with what's out there. We want to be integrated to where no matter what wallet exchange or platform you're using, you can easily, seamlessly use it back and forth.
I like that. And so then I guess the next question I have is maybe not the brightest question, but I'm asking it anyway. If I have never signed up for FIO, can I still send crypto to a FIO handle?
Yeah. So if you're using a FIO enabled, so there's different features. If the wallet has FIO send enabled to it, which FIO send is the easiest feature,
Okay.
which some wallets and exchanges have started with that one, which means you haven't they don't register a crypto handle on their wallet or exchange yet, but if they want to send crypto off the exchange, it's a simple API call to the blockchain that pings that address. So it'll typically show when if you're using a FIO enabled wallet to send and you go to send, it'll usually tell you like where it says to enter the wallet address. It'll say our
Mhm.
FIO crypto handle, our FIO. Some people call it FIO name or FIO address, and you can send it. You don't necessarily have to have one set up. Just where you're sending it to has to be set up.
Okay, cool. That's good to watch for.
Yep.
It's been a while since I put anything through the exchange. I'm kind of sitting on it to see if something magical happens eventually. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's good to know. Jumping back then into community there. So you have a spot in the Uplift World Metaverse with some pretty decent neighbors. What do you think makes a good metaverse neighbor? Who do you want moving in next to you?
Well, it's kind of like location. You would think about other quality projects that people see, um, when they go to an area. You think about, and I always compare it to the real world. When you go to a uh, certain like business district where maybe it's a ton of restaurants, it's great to have them all nearby because you have this great choice. And it's the same thing here. Complementary projects that are doing stuff in their own right. Like, so like the ones you showed, um, judging by, I think I heard of one of them, but just the name, like WellNet, for instance, like
Hmm.
what they're doing is helping to, move the space forward, in their particular field it's almost, I haven't looked deep into them, but it's almost like I think it's like a self-funded insurance type program.
I think
Um,
so.
yeah. Now I've recently had some experience of having to acquire, health insurance going into like, full time in the crypto, having to procure my own benefits, but I've also experienced, I'm passionate about anything insurance related because I also experienced the loss last year where I live in Louisiana. We had a hurricane hit our house, and
Hmm.
dealing with the insurance company to get those repairs made was a nightmare. And for many people that friends and family, they're still dealing with that nightmare. Some of them have lawyers involved to where, blockchain fixes that. Crypto can fix that. You can have a DAO set up for insurance. So
Hmm.
seeing projects that are helping to drive adoption forward, move the space forward, that's what I would think. What people want to um, see in there. I mean, I wouldn't expect, someone to build an art gallery right next to our project, which wouldn't be a problem. That's not a bad thing. But yeah, I like it. Seems like there's some thought put into what's going where, because people are able to browse their interests based on a certain sector.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that too. It's interesting. I'm seeing that come together now. Corey's the one who's been picking out the plots, and I think he's doing a good job of putting people in neighborhoods.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and there will be for the sale. We're going to have everything up on a clickable map, so your logo will be up there. People will know who they're moving in next to, and
Cool,
that I think is going to be interesting too to see kind of where people gravitate.
cool. I'm
Curious about
excited.
that.
I'm
Yeah,
excited to build it out. I've had some ideas, and really with my background being focused on education, is maybe housing where people can walk in and click on the wall and watch some educational videos. Just
yeah.
not just about what we do, but in general, like what is a wallet, what is cryptocurrency. Just almost like a library of education they can click through.
I love that idea. I think probably the quickest way to get that moving would be to use the QR codes,
Hmm.
and we double check all of them. We make them in house, and we double
Okay,
check that they all go where they're supposed to. So
cool.
I'm willing to risk my phone to double check it. So hopefully that's good enough security for people.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that would be great. We should get together at some point here and get you in world sooner the better, because
Yeah,
that sounds like a great project.
awesome.
Hmm. Well, I think I am all out of immediate questions. I'll think of 10 more in an hour. But do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I definitely appreciate you taking the time, and it was exciting to finally, Corey and I've been friends for a while on Facebook. It was good to meet him and all of you. Just because I think we've all we all have similar interests and want to see things progress in the space. I love what you're doing with your show, with the content, and I think that's what people are looking for too, is quality content. So just keep up the great work there, and that's really
Thank
all
you.
I have. I'm appreciative of the time today. I really enjoy doing shows like this. I was podcasting for 3 years before I took a break, and I really didn't take a break because I didn't like it anymore. I took a break because I had some projects to work on that took up my time.
Yeah.
But I enjoy just getting on and having conversations about, not just what I'm doing, anything in general, anything about the space, any reservations people have or concerns, especially right now with the market and the way it is. It's a great time for, people to dig in and learn what's really happening and not just looking at price.
Yeah. Well, and it's if you're going to be learning and making mistakes, it's an affordable time to do it.
All right. Yeah.
Um, it would be fun to do another show at some point in the future here with a bit of prep and get people from our various mutual communities here to get some questions in. I think that would be really interesting
Yeah.
because you
Yeah. I'm
seem
up for it.
very, very knowledgeable. So
Cool. Yeah. I'm up for it.
that'd be fun. All right. We'll get that planned here. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. And to
Cool.
everyone who's watching, I'll be back tomorrow. I've got a lot going on tomorrow. So we'll see you then.
Cool. Thanks, Jen. Take
Thank
care.
you.